Welcome to night 4 of the Rocket and Raygun Awards. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, and this is my other host, Mega Shaun himself. Shaun Hatton is in the building. Hello. Just imagine a stadium filled with people all chanting your Shaun, 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 Shaun. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. That's I can imagine it. You know,
It sounds pretty good, right?
I've got the green screen. We can drop them in later in
Should we
post.
do
Or
that? Can
one
you
of
drop
our,
thousands of fans? That would be amazing.
I hope so. Maybe one of our viewers can help with the tech details over there.
they
Um,
they could email it to you live. We are live, by the way. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. I see a bunch of you in the chat right there. I see Spidey82, who was first in the room. Goku, you rule, my friend. You're always here, and I love your support. Thank you so much. B-Boy20 is here. Spidey82, JFD62780, Pilot Whisperer, just subscribed. Rockets, Ray Guns, talking my language here. Both fit my stealth archer build. I guess you're watching Hawkeye right now. Amazing last episode, by the way, to that show. And great to see Magna Whirl and Wilderox and the real hip hop dance all throwing the horns. I love it, you guys. Thanks for being here, everybody. We're going to have a great night. We are talking about the best computer game, the best action-adventure game, best adventure game, and the best family-friendly game. But we've got lots of other cameos and guests from across the business going to pipe in with some thoughts and theories and suggestions of all kinds of fun things that they got up to in 2021. But Shaun, let's catch up right now. What are you up to these days? How are things going? How's your life going right now?
Life is going pretty good. What am I up to? Just lots of hanging around at home, as a lot of people have been doing. But I have started to go out a little bit more. Going to some shows, seeing some friends, and that's been nice. Obviously, pretty excited about the holiday season and having some time to jump into some video games that I've been neglecting. Everyone's got that stack of shame to get to,
The
and
stack of shame.
I keep buying video games, so that hasn't changed. In fact, I buy more video games now than when I was on the show, because now I I was used to the cadence of like I'm getting a new game every week, and now it's like
Yeah.
I still want a game every week,
Yes.
but now I have to buy them. So so there's a lot of sealed games is what I'm getting at, and lots of digital downloads that I haven't gotten to. And I've tended to like focus on games that I've already played a lot of,
Yeah.
or just sometimes like between meetings, or if I have some time in the evening, like an hour or so, it might not be enough time to jump into a brand
A
new
brand
game,
new
but
thing. Yeah.
it's easier to go into something that I've played already several times. So, I played Resident Evil 4 a few times this year. The new No More Heroes,
So
continuing on in
good.
that series. So much fun, so
Yeah.
so absurd and ridiculous. And I looked up absolutely nothing about that game because I wanted to just experience every twist and wacky next thing fresh, so I could be
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess now this is happening. And then also like some nice indie gems as well, which I guess we can get into. But overall, to answer your question, I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. Always great to talk to you
We
and
are
be
happy that
part of
you
the
are here,
show.
my friend. Everybody on the
Thanks.
chat, many longtime EP viewers and supporters, and it's been a real treat this week to see some familiar faces, even if it's virtual. One day again, I will either be out in Toronto and I'll assemble a little posse of people and we'll do this in person, or you guys will make the trek out to Vancouver and we'll do something like that, maybe with an audience, which would be incredible. But
Yeah.
it's great to see you. And you were talking a little bit about the fact that you picked up an analog Mega SG or the
Yeah.
Super
So
NT.
so I have both,
Okay.
because I'm so ballin' these days.
Yeah.
So the Super NT I got more recently because I missed it the first time around.
Right.
But then I picked up the Mega SG and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed the Super Nintendo version of this. So
Yeah.
I
So you
kind of
play a lot
spot
of Super Nintendo stuff and Sega
I
Genesis stuff?
yeah, I still like going to used game stores and like
Me too.
rifling through the dusty cartridges and seeing what I can find. And
Yes.
like, nowadays you can get those illegally. Obviously, you could back then, like maybe for the
Mega
past 20
carts.
years or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's not the same as like having the cartridge and
Totally.
like, there's something about the tactile sensation. Like, oh, I'll just pop this out here. I've got my Killer Instinct
That's
loaded in.
amazing.
It's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. And
I'll tell you something. I'm cutting a lot of these videos for the Rocket and Raygun Awards, and I'm busy, making them, and then I got to render them, and I got to make sure that I've spelled everything correctly after I export. And I just did the first episode with Marissa and exported it and posted it to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EPNTV if you're not subscribed over there. But that took forever, and I was like, well, I can't cut anything while I'm waiting for this export, so I didn't have time to play something new, so you know what I played? Spider-Man on the PlayStation 5. I went back and just started beating up bad guys. So I know what you're talking about there. Sometimes you just need to play something to keep yourself busy, but it can't be a brand new thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like for me, I'll go back and play either games I've played a lot before or a new game in a long-standing series where I kind of know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
So like a good example of that more recently was Streets of Rage 4.
Incredible game.
Yeah,
that's an obsession for my kid.
Yeah.
My
really?
daughter loves it. Yes.
That's so fun.
Yeah, she loves it.
There's so many beat 'em ups out there, and like this year, Ubisoft re-released Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which
that was excellent.
So many people were looking forward to.
And Are you in that game? That feels like a game that you should be in. Are you in that game?
I mean, I'm not in that game. I'm sure I'm in the background somewhere. It's pretty fun. Like going back and revisiting that now, several generations later. But the genre of beat 'em up is just so timeless, right?
It's wonderful.
And
yeah.
There's some beat 'em ups where they don't quite feel like you're doing much beating up.
Yeah.
But in Streets of Rage 4, like the whacks, man, you feel that. It's like
it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's crossed over 2 years. Like the Mr. X DLC. I didn't review it, but I bought it, and we have obsessed over that. We play that all the time in our play. I know exactly what you're talking about. Listen, we have an award show to get to.
Yeah.
It's clear that you and I should do a podcast soon and catch up and talk about all of these types of things and toys and all the other things that we have mutual affection for. But first, let's give a great big shout out to our sponsor, the Gaming Stadium. The Rocket and Raygun Awards are brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you don't want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, we should get going because we have a lot of different things to get to. Let's start with our first category, which is the best, we're starting with the big one, the best action adventure game of 2021. Here are our nominations. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Returnal, developed by Housemarque and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Metroid Dread, developed by Mercury Steam and Nintendo and published by Nintendo. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Resident Evil Village, developed and published by Capcom. Told you that was a big category. It's pretty amazing to see Returnal up against Metroid Dread because the influence in Returnal is so clearly evident. The influence of Metroid over the years is so clearly evident in Returnal. Both incredible games. Do you have a favorite out of that list?
I'm, everyone on the chat I think knows I'm a big Nintendo fan, and I've been looking forward to Metroid Dread for so long.
Yeah.
And still have to get through it, but it is very enjoyable. There's some things that are different about it that, I would have really loved, obviously, a continuation in the Metroid Prime universe, but
that's coming.
This is a good for now. It's scratching that itch. I also feel like it could stand to be a little bit more colorful, but minor gripe.
Yeah, I counter that. I think it's plenty color. I think it's beautiful. But I got it at the same time as I picked up the Switch OLED, so I was playing it on the OLED screen, and yeah, it was like a match made in heaven. But let's talk about Returnal here for a second. This is a game that's been getting a tremendous amount of love at the Rocket and Rayguns. I keep cutting video and comment, and it's been up already for a bunch of awards. What an exceptional game from Housemarque, which I think really surprised everybody. I already had my eye on this team because Housemarque has made lots of fun arcadey types of games that I've loved. But this was another level, man. This crossed over. This was a stop traffic game. And you could see the mechanism to purchase the company, like the reason why Sony says, no, Housemarque is now under our umbrella. It's inherent in that game. That game is so freaking good and so fun on every single level, Absolute masterpiece. You could say the same thing about Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. Did you check that game out this year?
I've never been a Ratchet and Clank fan, which is strange to say because I do like games in that genre as well. But yeah, I do have a
Is
friend.
Is it too cute for you? How could you not like Ratchet and Clank?
It's not too cute. It's just it's not something that I ever had the chance to get into seriously. Like, it's only a game that I'd played in passing, or a series I've played in passing. But I do have some friends who are super into it and like really just destroyed the game as soon as they got it. It's like they had to get through everything. Like,
when did you decide that Ratchet and Clank wasn't your thing?
I can't decide if I'm if I'm more into furry culture or the dressing up as robots culture. So it's hard to
but how about Resident Evil Village? Did you get some time on Resident Evil Village?
Not yet. I mean, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, but as I previously said, I have to purchase my games now. So that's one where I'm like, I know Resident Evil fans, listen, everyone in the chat here, don't judge. There's a lot of great games that are coming out all the time.
All the time, yes. I mean, this is why I do this, Shaun, though, because I know that not everybody's getting every game, and people have got to mix their real life and their careers with how much game time they have. And even at the media outlets that I reach out to, it's not the same. It's not like there were 10 different media outlets and every team played it's not the same as it was when we were on the show. So every viewpoint is totally valid. I did play through Village, and I streamed some, and it is terrifying and wonderfully weird and super twisted, and there's some really heavy shocks. And I think one of the coolest things about it, it's first person again, like 7 was. 7, I think, was a little bit more electrifying because it was kind of a fresh thing, and there was also a VR game. I think if 8 was in VR, if Village was in VR, it would have taken it to another level. But I don't think VR is quite at the quality level that the game deserves. So this might be like a PlayStation 5 VR to PSVR 2 type of experience. But it is a tremendous Resident Evil game. It's really cool.
Too scary for VR. Man, are you kidding me?
I know, it's cheap. I always say that. I did play Resident Evil 4 in VR, and that is just hella fun. That won for Rocket and Raygun for Best VR Game of the Year, by the way. Resident Evil was excellent. Psychonauts 2 was also sublime. Are you a Game Pass subscriber, or is that just heaping on tons that you can't get to?
You know what? It's like a cornucopia of stuff I'll never be able to get to. I see some folks in the chat are like, Game Pass, dude. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you know what? Like, I do love having the physical copies of games, and I think I've always been very much a collector of things. In general.
I know that about you.
Yeah.
And I know that about me too.
Yeah, I can see that. I've got my screen up to hide all of it. But yeah, like I think there's something about physical games that I still really like. Like, I will buy limited run releases of digital games that I already have, or like new releases of games that I already have.
So you're anti Game Pass then, or do you have it?
You know what? I don't have Game Pass, but I am for Game Pass. I think it's like one of the biggest things within the last few years. Yeah. And definitely something that's pushing Microsoft, in my opinion, to the forefront here. Like,
just for Halo, Psychonauts, and Forza this year, just for those 3 games, it's worth the cost of it.
I don't know how they manage it on their side, like financial wise. Like
Yeah,
it's just boggles the mind that this is a service that they're able to offer, right?
totally.
Like, and I know like Nintendo has it on a super like way lesser extent with the classic console stuff. Like it doesn't even compare. Like
Yeah.
you're getting brand new games here on Xbox, and like it's unreal. So I think
Well,
for
I think to put it in perspective, probably the cost of Halo Infinite was the cost of every Nintendo developed game for the NES, Super Nintendo, N64, and probably GameCube, just
yeah,
for the cost of Halo Infinite in terms of what it cost Microsoft to spend. I don't know what those, but I wouldn't. I don't take that literally, but my suspicion is that the numbers would be bigger just for the price of making Halo Infinite.
oh for
Incredible.
sure. I mean
Yeah.
I games are so much more complicated now in
Totally.
every single way. Like they intimidate me too. Like Doom
Yes.
Eternal from last year. I'm like, I'm I'm not scared to play it because it's a scary game. I'm scared to play because like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose so much of my life to this game. Like
Yes.
it's
Yes.
intimidating to me to be like, I'm in for hours here if I
Well,
decide to start this. It's a relationship at this point.
now you know my secret of why I became a gamer. That's like my origin story right there. I was spending so much money on games. It's like I should do something with this.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to our winner. All 5 of these nominees: Psychonauts 2, Returnal, Metroid Dread, Ratchet and Clank, and Resident Evil, all worthy. Just like every game we talk about on the Rocket and Rayguns, but we can only pick one winner, and the best action adventure game of 2021. Absolutely superb game with Metroid Dread. It was uh, it haunted me until I finished. I couldn't do anything else until I finished the game. I had to finish the game in order to proceed with my life. It was just totally wrapped up inside of my soul. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it kicked my ass. It took me 30 hours to beat it the first time because the bosses were so hard. I have since put another 20 hours into the game. It's the game I have played the most in 2021, I think. And I'm obsessed with it. I still love it. I still play it. I feel very similarly to Returnal, which I think would totally thrill you, Shaun. I don't know if you've had time to play Returnal, but I think that has Shaun Hatton's name written all over it. Not to
Yeah.
impress upon you to purchase another game to sit on the pile, but it's an excellent game.
It's it's in the pile, my friend.
Oh
The
yeah.
yeah, man, just touching on Metroid. I mean, what a great series. It almost seems like this is the year that people really started to get excited about Metroid because not too long
Yes, you're
ago
right.
there was the Metroid 2 kind of remake for
Yeah,
the
I
3DS. Like
love
it was
that.
yeah, and it was great, but not a lot of people were hyped for that. And it seemed like this year, I don't know what happened, but like everyone was on that Metroid train. Like people I didn't even know who had like I didn't know people had Switches. They were like, I can't wait for Metroid. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
dude,
And,
you are in for a treat. Like if you haven't played Metroid in a while, there's
yeah,
so many games that you
totally. And
gotta
it's
get
so
to.
weird that Nintendo hasn't said, okay, well, here's the collection of all the previous ones. They've done video content, they've talked about it, but you can get one and Super Metroid in the Nintendo Switch Online. But I mean, the fact that there is no Metroid collection of the classic stuff and the GBA games is absolutely absurd because the
Okay.
audience is ripe for that. Plus, they should have put the 3DS Samus Returns into that collection. It's insane that they're not out there. But
Yeah.
I think that there's something going on. There's been an explosion in retro gaming. Um, the fact that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming out next year from Tribute Games, that was a big, big moment. I saw the internet just stop dead in its tracks with massive excitement around this game, like huge. And even I put it into the what are you most excited about for 2022 list, most
Mhm.
anticipated, and it beat Justice League. You know, people are more excited about turtle in my poll. Not it didn't go out around the world, but
Right.
in my poll at least, people were more excited about Turtles than the new Justice League from Rocksteady, or Suicide Squad from Rocksteady. Anyways, I think that retro thing is incredibly important. JFD 62780 asked if I 100%ed Dread. I have not 100%ed Dread. Truthfully, it's hard for me as a reviewer to 100% these things because I've got the next thing to review, and it's been a weird time because there's still new things that I'm getting sent to review and talk about. But of course, I'm wrapping up the year and I'm busy with all of this content. But yeah, it never stops. The new stuff to take a look at never ends. And woe is me. I've got more games to play. Anyways, what I've done this year with the Rocket and Rayguns is I've reached out to the community. I've reached out to a lot of you, to viewers out there, and also to people that we know at various outlets and YouTubers, people that love this stuff as much as we all do. And I asked them, what have you been playing the most in 2021?
I think by the numbers, it's probably Forza Horizon 5, but right behind it, what I actually want to give a shout out to is Ys 9. I have had this series on my periphery since the 90s. Never played an Ys game properly until this year, though, and it's super fun. RPG comfort food, feels fast-paced, feels fun to get around that game and get new abilities. I've really enjoyed my time with that and put a good 40 to 50 hours, maybe a little bit more. It's a really fun game there.
The game I spent the most time with in 2021 was Ys 9, Monster Nox. Those of you who know Johnny Millennium, the happy console gamer, know that he loves the Ys series, and he's the one that helped convince me to take a chance on Ys 8, which became my favorite JRPG of all time, and I've loved the series ever since. Those of you who haven't checked out the series yet, I highly recommend either starting with 8 or 9. They're both great games.
The game I've been playing the most throughout 2021 is actually a game that came out back in 2015 as a PlayStation Plus game on the PS4. I'm talking about Rocket League, a game by Psyonix, a developer that got acquired by Epic Games, and since then it's expanded to every platform and gone free to play. And that brought my friends into it last year, and they brought me into it, and I can't stop playing it. It's a game about rocket-powered cars playing with a ball, playing soccer, or soccer as they call it, and it works amazingly for all skill levels, all ages, and has some of the best ranked matchmaking and competitive play of any esports title. I can't recommend it enough.
When Metroid Red was announced, I busted out my old GameCube with the Game Boy player, and I played through Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion, and I even got to play my old Super Nintendo and finally finish Super Metroid for the very first time. I am still shocked this game is almost 30 years old because it holds up so well, and it made me appreciate what kind of a spectacular achievement Metroid Dread actually is.
Hey, it's Brian Altano from IGN, and I made sure to play pretty much every important or significant new game released in 2021, but also, fun fact about me, is that a perfectly timed re-release of a retro game or a retro game collection will just completely derail my efforts to stay up on anything new, which is exactly what happened this year with the Castlevania Advance Collection. It's a trio of fantastic 2D action-adventure games that I completely adore, and I will, no matter what, stop everything to 100% every inch of the map in those games, find every secret, get all the good endings, get all the weird weapons and the souls, and fight all the wolves and the banshees and whatnot and what have you. So I'm just really happy they're back. So those are the games I played the most this year, despite all the new ones that came out.
My most played game this year is actually a 4-year-old game. It's Fortnite. It's just something that I just randomly started playing again. I played it at launch and kind of forgot about it. Then, one night I was just bored, nothing to do. I booted it back up and saw all the cool changes that got made that I kind of missed out on. And it's something that my wife and I play right on the regular now. Yeah, like Fortnite, that pretty much has consumed our life here in the household. So that's been my most played game of 2021.
I'm telling you right now, yo Vic, much love to you, son. Electric Playground, wrapping it up for the end of the year. The game that I've been playing mostly all year was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The first reason is because it's just that long, son. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing this game, I think I put maybe 70, 80 hours into this one game. Now, don't get me wrong, there's other games I've been playing probably longer than that over a period of time, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that game is fire. Like, I played it, beat it, started playing it over again. I really, really enjoyed Valhalla, yo. The combat, the story, the environment, the ambiance, all of that, yo. Assassin's Creed, like Valhalla, that's like the hottest one since Origins, you know what I'm saying? So that's the one I would probably say I've been playing mostly all year. That's how much I enjoyed it. So AC Valhalla, baby, let's get it popping.
The game that I played the most during 2021 is my own game, Space War Arena, on the Nintendo Switch. Sorry to plug my own game, but it is the game I played the most of. It's a head-to-head space battler, real-time strategy game. I think the game I played most recreationally was Immortals Phoenix Rising. Beautifully crafted, great mechanics, beautiful game, top and bottom, very creative, very high fun factor. I'm a big fan.
2021 wasn't the year of new releases for me, though I did play through new Pokemon Snap, which I loved. It was mostly my backlog, so I've played Spider-Man, which I adored, Ghostbusters I'm playing through now, which I really like, and then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a dream come true game. They added Banjo-Kazooie to this game. I waited for that for 20 years. I will always play this game. But the game I played more than anything else this year was Shenmue. I streamed this game. I was welcomed with open arms by the Shenmue community. I didn't have a Dreamcast growing up. I didn't have it till 2008. But for 1999 and 2000, this game is amazing. Okay, not everything has aged perfectly. However, it's so charming that it doesn't even matter. I loved living in Yokosuka and Dobuita. I have such an amazing time with it. I even got the soundtrack on vinyl. Please, if you haven't done it, play Shenmue. It's an absolute delight.
There's only one game that I play again and again, every year, no matter what time, no matter what season, no matter what mood, no matter what feelings. I always play Bubsy the Bobcat. The original for Genesis or Super Nintendo, it doesn't matter. They're both excellent games, they're timeless, and I've really been enjoying it again and again and again. I have also been playing Returnal a lot this year. It's probably the game that kind of modernizes the retro feeling of video games the best in the last decade for me. I've really been having fun with Returnal. I really commend the team for making it. Even though it's not my game of the year necessarily, it is actually the one I've been playing the most and the one I've been, I'd say, enjoying the most, just on a personal level.
Loved the fact that we had Bubsy the Bobcat in that little montage right there. When I heard Audi say that from Digital Foundry, I just busted out laughing. He's very droll and very funny with all of that. It's really surprising what people really hook onto. And as you could see, Returnal pops up again and again and again. What did you play the most in 2021? But yeah, lots of great insight, lots of great commentary. I'm so grateful. Thank you to everybody that contributed to all of those. Thank you from on the viewer side, and thank you to all of our friends across the media. You guys are amazing. We have got an award to give away, and this is for the Best Adventure category. And there were some cool adventure games. I did play some, but I thought that there was one in particular that was the strongest of 2021. And let's take a look at that winner right now. Don't Nod really build something special with this franchise. Now, I know that it's different developers that went off and made this game, but just the idea that all of these characters and their stories can be interconnected, and they've got, extrasensory powers and abilities and all kinds of incredible sort of, wacky drama befalls these characters, and they have to work through it, and it's very emotional. And here we've got a lead character that's sort of tapped into the emotion, and it's just like hyper empathy that she's got. And you get caught up in the storytelling. It's so smart. It's so well crafted. And this kind of next generation of these interactive adventure titles that are happening, which feel a lot closer to I mean, we're not into Last of Us type territory yet with the way that these games are designed, but they feel much more open and exploratory and tactile. And I was really impressed by Life is Strange True Colors. It's a beautiful game. I think if you haven't hopped on that Life is Strange, road and tried out some of these games, you're missing out. They're incredible, and True Colors is right up there with the best. It's really, really good. Have you played any of these Life is Strange games?
I've played the first, at least the first one, and yeah, like something that I really love about games in general is just getting to experience different stories through different perspectives.
Yeah.
And with narrative-based games, like, and these have been around for so long, like even some of the older PC point-and-click titles are
Totally
very heavily story-based. It's interesting to experience stories in interactive ways where you feel like you have a say in the outcome, or you become so emotionally invested in these characters. Like so much of what we enjoy as a culture in terms of art and storytelling is, very character-based things.
Yeah.
You can love the Avengers movies, and yeah, there's lots of action in them, but there's also great character moments too.
Totally. Yeah.
And to see this play out in games like Life is Strange is a great example of this, is wonderful. Like I love the escapism that games give us. Like you get to like fight bad guys, stop an alien invasion, be the alien invasion, or have very real heart-to-heart moments and like almost slice of life moments, but with a little bit of supernatural or a little bit of something strange. And yeah, it's
I mean, I think
wonderful.
that's exactly what qualifies the success of The Last of Us. Like that was such a transcendent thing. The first game and the second game, where there's this extra crazy circumstance happening around our characters that is otherworldly and innately non-believable. And yet you do believe it because you care so much of the protagonists, and you care so much about the world building and the craftsmanship of the storytelling. And it's really marvelous to see the technology that these developers have access to kind of manifest at the same time as the ambitions of their imagination, and we're getting games of that caliber, and to some degree the Life is Strange kind of thing as well. It's a very, very incredible part of where we're going with all this. And I think to your point as well, letting us control Ellie, or, just different perspectives, different types of characters from different viewpoints, something that's so important for our industry as well. For media, for any media, it's really cool. Hey, we've got Blade Blurs gifting out some subs. Thank you so much to Seto Blade and to Real Hip Hop. Dan, you guys rock, you guys. Pilot Whisperer, does the second Life is Strange series have as bomb of a soundtrack as the first? Yes, absolutely. The second Life is Strange game was riveting and super cool, and one of the things that I loved the most about it was the music. It was just absolutely amazing. They really peerless curators over on that brand. They're really kind of tapping into. I mean, it's a youthful universe that they've crafted in those games, and I think they're trying to kind of make it hip and accessible to a sort of a different audience than might pick up a Halo Infinite in a way, but super cool. All right, let's move on. We have our next bunch of nominees, and actually we've got two guest videos for the next couple of nominees. So our next group of nominees is going to be for the best family games, and I reached out to some of the folks out there that I know cover a lot of family-friendly stuff, and I asked them what was the best family game of 2021.
My pick for family-friendly game of 2021 has to be Mario Party Superstar, because there ain't no party like a Mario Party, and this one breaks out all the stops. You have 5 boards from the first 3 games of the long-running franchise, as well as 100 mini-games from the rest of the titles of the Mario Party series. Aside from just the wacky battles, the races to try to get as many stars as you possibly can on any board that you happen to be playing on, it's just a fun time to gather your friends or your family around with your Joy-Cons and see exactly who winds up coming out on top. You can play this game for hours and have a great time doing it, and it's all based off the luck of the virtual die that you wind up rolling. Mario Party Superstar has to be the family-friendly pick.
2021 has actually been a year of really great family-oriented games, and I know this because my family and I, my two kids, my son Lincoln and my daughter Ellie, we spent a lot of time together getting to know Super Mario 3D World and WarioWare, and they'll always ask me to play these games and fire them up, and I'm happy to do that. But the one game that I want to give a shout out here for Family Game of the Year is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, is the one that I have really lost myself in recently. And I'm really enjoying playing with my kids, actually. It's simple enough that I can kind of let them decide, you know, where are we going next? And what move should this guy do? And what Pokemon should we throw out there? And things like that. And it is so special because they love it so much. And I love that they love it so much. And guess what? It's a good game. I really enjoy playing it as a newcomer to the Pokemon world. This is one that has been very special for me. So shout out to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond in 2021.
I don't even know why we're having this conversation. Because of course it has to be Mario Party Superstar. Wow, what a game. My kids were so excited when this game got announced. The Friday they came home from school, Dad, have you downloaded it? Dad, have you picked it up yet? Of course, when are we playing? We're gonna play after supper. Awesome. Everyone's in their pajamas, snacks around, it's up on the big screen, we're on the couches, couch co-op, playing together, playing the 100 mini games as a family, using those classic boards, and of course the other awesome thing, it has online play. So they're able to connect with their friends and family who also have the game, get on a voice call, and have that experience together. And that has been absolutely amazing. And I 100% love it, and I would highly recommend it. Mario Party Superstars, family-friendly game of 2021.
Hey EP, it's Adam from Megadads, and I'm here to talk about the best family game for 2021.
And I'm Elliot.
And this is my son Elliot, and Elliot and I chose Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for the PlayStation 5. Elliot, why did we pick this game?
Because it looks cool.
Because it looks cool, and it plays cool, and the characters are cool.
Yes.
And the sound is cool.
Yes.
And the DualSense feedback stuff where it rumbles and it pulls on the trigger is cool.
Maybe.
And we're cool.
No. We're not. We're not.
I think I can hear my wife laughing upstairs. Thank you for watching. That was a great moment from Adam and Elliot. When I was cutting that, my daughter was playing some Minecraft over there, and everything stopped because those two were just hilarious. And Elliot was adorable in that. So thank you for sharing that moment, and thank you for your your thoughts on family-friendly games. I hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, we are going to now take a look at the nominees for the best family-friendly games of 2021. Kena, Bridge of Spirits, developed and published by Ember Lab. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, developed by Greg Lobanoff and published by Finji. It Takes Two, developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts. Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl, developed by ILCA and Game Freak and published by Nintendo. Very solid year for games that, families and younger players could play this year. Lots and lots of fun stuff in there. We had Ratchet and Clank. We had Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. We had It Takes Two. We had Kena, Bridge of Spirits, and Chicory, which is a game I think you're a big fan of indie games. I don't know if you've seen this game. It's lovely. I think it's just hitting the Switch right now. I think it was in the Indie World presentation yesterday.
Yeah, I think it came out this week actually. So that's going to be one to again add to the pile.
Yeah.
But every time I see, it's weird. I've been playing games for so long, but I still kind of stereotype them by the look and feel. And when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is a Nintendo game, and it wasn't at first.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, this would be perfect for Switch. I think I said that last year, where I'm like, I just want to play all my games on Switch. I think the thing was, it should be more powerful than it is. Hopefully, we'll get something that can run more.
I think we're getting something next year. I do.
Yeah.
I've said that probably every year since 2018.
I mean, we hope for it. We hope for it. I mean, here's the thing. It's hilarious that I live in a home. I'm only playing inside. I don't really go anywhere, but I still want it in my hands and not on the TV, which is weird. You know, like going from handheld to TV mode, it's like, oh, whoa, this is weird and discombobulating. But yeah, Chicory is looking really good. Like,
it's a really delightful game. It was it's a little sleepy. It's not like a super fast paced thing. It's not maybe as elegantly refined, but it's really cute and really cleverly written. And the whole mechanic of painting everything, everybody, and you know, people are thanking you for the paint that you paint their outfits and stuff. It's really clever. I really enjoyed that. Kena Bridge of Spirits is a really fantastic success story this year as well from Embra Lab. It was like the breakout game at the Game Awards last week. It's been nominated in lots of different categories for our show, but lots of other awards presentations out there as well. Absolutely stunning game. Hard to believe it's the first game from the studio. Like, they just knocked it out of the park by, I think, adhering to proven concepts. You know, there's some interesting new ideas in there of, you know, incorporating these little creatures as if they were lemmings or Pokemon, or, you know, getting them to kind of do your bidding to help you with your puzzles. But the mechanics, the core sort of combat mechanics and magic mechanics are things that felt very familiar. But what elevates it is this gorgeous storytelling. It's just like you're waiting for the announcement that Kena is coming to the big screen near you, you know? It's really lovely. You could say that, too, about the new Ratchet & Clank, which Shaun hates. Shaun, we've discovered that Shaun hates Ratchet & Clank.
Oh, my gosh.
I tease you.
Just going to go straight to that. I was like, I've never gotten into it, is now I hate. I mean,
we got to elevate the drama, man. We're making a show here.
Okay, let's do it. I hate Ratchet and Clank. Come at me, bros.
Oh, it's great that you said that against a green screen. You know,
yeah.
That's like, forever immortal.
Put me in things.
They're gonna put you in hell, I think, from now on. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I think, more than anything, is a showcase for the horsepower of the PlayStation 5. You know, it's a gorgeous game. When I reviewed it, I felt like they built something really lovely and cool, but not revolutionary. You know, it wasn't like they totally reinvented what Ratchet and Clank were all about, even though Rivet is a huge component of it. It really was just showing us what the PlayStation 5 is capable of, you know, from the DualSense haptic feedback and the accessing the SSD. It's so incredible. Like, you're constantly amazed by the technology that's before your eyes. But it's familiar gameplay. And for those that hate Ratchet and Clank, I'm sorry, Shaun, it's not going to be the game that convinces you that this is the one. And I think the game that really knocked me on my butt for a family-friendly experience, though, this year, somebody said that Joseph Ferris gets the nod in the chat. I read that. It was scrolling by. But yes, it is It Takes Two from Hazelight, an absolutely incredible game. Let's take a little look, a little celebration of It Takes Two. Absolutely delightful game. I do have to be honest, I played it with my daughter, and there are moments where there is frustration in the game because you're always reliant on that other person cooperatively. We got really deep into the game, and there were moments of like, Dad, shoot this way, point at this thing, or I would be saying, Ruby, no, we need to jump up here. What do you? Oh, come on! And I think that's part of the experience, and it's also tuned to be, somewhat challenging. It's not like everything is easy. There's some pretty tough boss fights in there. So it's not maybe the most accessible on our list. Like Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is a very easy game to play. And it's a super, super fun experience too. But it's very easy and lighthearted. It Takes Two's got a little bit of a darker, kind of subtext about this dad and this mom that are divorcing, and a daughter that's devastated, and she cries onto these little dolls and uses magic to turn them into living things, and then they've got to work together to get through the game. And there's some kind of emotional elements in there, but the gameplay is so clever. It's just so incredible what they've done. They really kind of flexed their muscles and said, we can add different mechanics on a kind of consistent pace, on a consistent sort of metronome kind of setting. So you're constantly rethinking what you have to do. The two main characters share different attributes and different abilities for every level and every stage. And it's so cool. It's, it would be a really impressive single player game, but the fact that all of it exists in this cooperative play pattern. And then, you also get all of these really cool moments where there are mini games, but it's really just, you can touch everything in the world. It's all interactive. There are all these little widgets, and they're really showing off Hazel Light. Like it was a way bigger game than I think people expected it to be, or you would give this company credit for. And it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards last year. And I think it's a deserving game. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. You haven't played it yet, though.
It's also, no, I haven't played it, but it's also the kind of game where I think that's just going to be the theme. Like, I haven't played anything. I've been playing Killer Instinct on Super Nintendo. I'm so good at it.
Killer Instinct on Super Nintendo is not up for any awards this year.
No.
Next year, I think we have to add a retro category.
It's my game of the year every year, however. So 2022 resolutions, yes, it is 320 by 240, which is the Nintendo resolution. I always enjoy these co-op games where there's such an emphasis on cooperation. Like, there's co-op games like Contra or like other shoot 'em ups where you're both, going for the same goal, but like games that make you have to have conversations with who you're playing with, because a lot of people, I don't want to get too philosophical, but there are a lot of people who use games to escape their current situation.
Sure.
Some people do this in relationships even, where it's like, oh, I just got to sit, I came back from work, I just got to sit down and spend like 3 hours in this game. But I really enjoy games as a social conduit where, I'm playing the game with someone who I care about, and we're enjoying it on another level. So there's like what's happening in the game, and then there's what's happening in the real world, where you're having these conversations, you're problem solving together, and you can kind of get through things together. And that kind of approach also helps build relationships, I think, whether it's like with a partner
100%.
or a friend.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this game has so many different play mechanics to it. Like, it's introducing you to new concepts. It's got different play styles as well, different perspectives. So
it's profound what you're talking about here, and I think a lot of people dismiss the family game category, but we have to remember that at some point in our lives, games were introduced to us, or they became a part of our family's life, and we hooked onto them. They became incredibly important to us, and we have grown with them. And we're now sharing them with other generations, and we're engaged. And I can tell you, as a father, there is nothing. I mean, there are many things that are really, really beautiful, but I really love the fact that I get to play these things that I've grown up with. They've been so important to me, clearly, with my kid. And to see her engage with them and find her own tastes and her own choices through them. It's really amazing. It is a social, escape. It sure is about escapism, and sometimes we need the solitude of a Metroid Dread. But this is also a medium that really beckons that collaboration and that sharing. It's really cool. It's a really big part of games.
Definitely. I think as I get older, seeing experiencing things that I know and love through the eyes of other people is a real joy. Like introducing a friend or a partner to something that I've loved for ages, and like, oh, you need to check this out.
Yes.
And you kind of get to see it again for the first time almost.
Totally.
Right? Like,
yep.
How many times did you see Star Wars before you watched it with your daughter?
Yeah.
Like, or Indiana Jones, probably more appropriate in your case.
Yep. She's seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she really loved it. It's crazy, and the impetus, I think, is in me, and I think a lot of parents out there to kind of like, did you love it? But I don't want to influence what she loves. She can choose that, But the one thing I will also say about family friendly is that it's important for game makers to make great family friendly games. It's important to make games that are really good for young people, because they get a lot of the short end of the stick. They get crappy mobile games or sort of half-assed licensed games. And there was that still when we were younger, but, family-friendly stuff was kind of the par for the course back in the day, and they were good games. Like Nintendo is kind of world famous for being the family-friendly game maker, but they've made awesome games for young people, and I think it's really important to have like Kena and It Takes Two, like really solid games that young people can also play and really enjoy that way. Anyways, we've got to move on to our big category, and that is the best PC game of 2021. And to help us with this discussion, let's go to our friends in the media right now.
PC Game of the Year is a tricky one. I spend all day producing videos on my PC, so when it comes time to game, I typically jump over to the TV for some console action. Yet there's some games that are just inherently better on PC. One such game is Doom Eternal. But wait, John, that was a 2020 game, right? Well, yes, but this year marked the release of the second DLC pack, The Ancient Gods Part 2, and that, along with the addition of hardware ray tracing and DLSS, pulled me back in. I played through the entirety of the original campaign along with both of the add-ons on my PC at 160 frames per second and had an absolute blast. I know, some folks have critique with Eternal, and that's perfectly fine, but I love playing the game, and it ended up occupying most of my PC gaming time this year, which is why, despite its original release being last year, I'm going with Doom Eternal as my game of the year on PC for 2021. Thanks, The Ancient Gods Part 2, for making this possible.
Alright, top PC game of the year for me has to be Halo Infinite. The single player campaign, the multiplayer maps are just awesome. The vehicles, the weapons, just everything, the pacing, the graphics, the sound design. I think the developers did an amazing job. Love that it came out simultaneously for PC as well as Xbox. And I gotta say, that is my top PC game of 2021, Halo Infinite.
My PC game of the year has to be Loop Hero. It was one that wasn't really on my radar until everyone started talking about it, and I succumbed, and I fell in love immediately. It is such a clever take on, I guess would you call it like a deck building game? But the thing that I really love the most about it is that you don't have to have all of your attention on it. I would have it on in the background while I was doing other things, and just, that slow working towards progression, working towards expanding your camp, working towards defeating bigger and better monsters. I think it was just so clever. It took over my life for a good couple of weeks when it first came out, and I'm really glad that's now on Switch, so that's why Loop Hero is my PC game of the year.
So, my pick for PC game of 2021 is Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Larian Studios, the folks behind Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2, are working on Baldur's Gate 3. And that is so far, setting up to be a fantastic RPG experience. But for those that preferred the older Baldur's Gates, the Icewind Dale or Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate 3 isn't really that kind of experience. It's actually a bit closer to being Divinity Original Sin 3. However, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is much closer to being the spiritual successor to all of those old Entity Engine games. It's a fantastic looking game. It's got great characters. The developer Alcott Games has improved vastly over their previous game, Pathfinder Kingmaker. And if you're also a D&D fan, the Pathfinder RPG system is based roughly on D&D. I think this top-down, party-based RPG still has its place. There's such a depth of content and RPG enjoyment to be found in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. So I urge everyone, if that's what you're looking for in an RPG, to try it out.
Thank you, John, Lucy, Mark, and Mike. Wise words from all of you guys. I knew I could count on you to give us some good insight on some of the best PC games out there. I want to call out B-Boy 20's comment, said, free Halo made old gamers feel young again. And I don't think you're wrong, B-Boy Y20. I've heard that comment actually a lot this week. People are like, oh, this reminds me of being in school with all my buddies. And it's been a really amazing Halo at bringing people together in some really profound new ways, which is really cool. Not just the fact that it's free. Okay, we do have some nominees for the best PC game of 2021. Let's take a look at those. Halo Infinite, developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. Forza Horizon 5, developed by Playground Games and published by Xbox Game Studios. Psychonauts 2, developed by Double Fine and published by Xbox Game Studios. Hitman 3, developed and published by IO Interactive. Deathloop, developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. One of the things that you might have noticed there with our Xbox lineup is that it looks a lot like the console lineups that we have seen. It's getting harder and harder to kind of delineate and think of something that's just out on PC. We could have picked something like Age of Empires 4, which is a really solid game. And there are PC-only titles. There are some indie, really cool games out there as well. But, when I was sitting down and looking at the lists of games in front of me, these are some of the best games, period. And the fact that they exist on PC and you can scale them all up, and if you've got the horsepower, you can make them look better than anything that's available for these pieces of software on a console, is quite remarkable. And the other thing that's really amazing for 2021 is just what the Xbox Game Studios team has been able to do. Just the fact that they have 3 of the 5 with Psychonauts 2 and somebody said Horizon, so that's in my. That was JVJ Plays Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, just incredible. They also released the Flight Simulator game on the Xbox this year too, which was crazy and huge. But yeah, 3 mega stacked games in there, and I feel like not enough people have been talking about Hitman 3. But that really took my breath away earlier this year. Absolutely loaded with choice and customization and lots of cool challenge, amazing community around that game. And, I was really impressed by the quality overall with the experiences that I was able to find on PC, for sure. Deathloop, again, it was exclusive to the PlayStation, but you could pick it up. I think it was exclusive to the Epic Game Store as part of that deal. And again, another wonderful experience that played really well on the PC. Also played some PlayStation titles, and if Returnal was a launch game on the PC, I don't think we're that far away from PlayStation saying, sure, you can play it on the PlayStation 5 and the PC. They're going to take some pages out of Xbox's playbook, but Returnal isn't there. But the PC had a really, really solid year, like really good games. And it was difficult for me to pick the winner in this category because each one of these titles was super strong in their own way. But I think what it came down to was Halo Infinite was so good, as a single-player campaign, and this free multiplayer sort of engaging people. It just delivers in some massive ways. And I do know that there's been some hesitation out there with the cross-play, like the people that have been playing on the Xbox playing against people on the PC. It hasn't been that fair. But I had to go with Halo. Halo is it's a juggernaut, and sure, there's more to come, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful game. You knew that Xbox Game Studios was going to win one of those, right? When you've got 3 in the ring like that?
The odds are heavily in their favor, but I mean, it's such an interesting thing that like Game Pass is on PC now, because like it's like for so long, these were titles that sold Xbox consoles, right? Like it's like, I need that new Forza, I need that new Halo, and now they're kind of opening it up. So it's like, they're not afraid of losing fans of their consoles. They just want more people playing their games, which I think is an incredibly bold and also confident move, right? You introduce people on different platforms to your titles and then hopefully convert them. Like, how many people do you think there were who just refused to play Halo before because it's like, oh, I don't want to play with a controller. Like, how do you play an FPS with a controller? Which I do tend to agree with, but like, you have to make certain, concessions when, you want to really play a title that's only available on one platform, and like opening it up to, some of my favorite gaming experiences are FPS on PC. Like, it's so much fun. And like Halo being on PC is such a no-brainer. And,
day
like,
and day.
Absolutely ridiculous. So like, this is,
well, I don't know if you've read about this, though. Xbox was talking with Apple when they were sort of doing the deal around whether they could put xCloud as an app. They were actually talking to Apple and saying, we'll publish our games on iPhone and iPad. We'll actually go to that level. And it is interesting. Like, we're really seeing these sort of platforms bleed across each other, Apart from the console exclusives that Nintendo and Sony are publishing, almost everything of quality, and then lots of other interesting choices are also available on PC, And we are moving away from there being any gates, especially with streaming and all the streaming services that are out there, not just Stadia, but the other ones. It's going to be harder and harder to kind of pit these machines against each other, And Sony is publishing on PC as well, The idea of exclusives and these locked, rigid places for playing these games feels a little antiquated already, and I feel like in 5 years it's going to feel so silly,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it also just makes video gaming more accessible to more people, right? So you can't lose in that fashion. Like, would I rather have someone play my game on the console that I made? Yeah, but I just want more people to play my game because I feel good about it. That's it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, and one thing that we've witnessed acutely is the developers have had to sort of think multi-SKU, and they've had to kind of develop something. Even like Retro City Rampage, was on every single. Brian was out there making the game for every damn platform imaginable, and look at how many versions of Skyrim exist out there right now, and Grand Theft Auto 5. But a pretty damn impressive year, lots of good titles, tomorrow we actually get into it with our Game of the Year discussions. I don't know if you're available, Shaun, but we'd love to have you back tomorrow if you can come back. Okay,
I'll
cool.
come back.
And Jose is back tomorrow as well. I'm going to hear from Shaun and Marissa and see if they're available. But there will be some good chatter tomorrow on the finale of the Rocket and Raygun Awards. I'm going to hear from lots and lots of people across the business as well with their Game of the Year picks. So it's going to be a very fun show. Today was an incredibly fun show. I love talking with you. I love your insight and your wisdom. And I do feel that we should think about a retro category next year. Like, what was the best move for retro gaming in 2022? I think that you and I share that passion, and I think a lot of our viewers do as well. I think it's incredibly important that we have access to these older games. Somebody was talking about Otogi, actually, or Otogi. I would love to play Otogi again. Vague Daniel. See, that's the thing, right? Like, we want to be able to access these classic libraries for sure. I do love that about Xbox. They've made that a mission. I do think that that's pretty damn cool. Anyways, my friends, we are all done for today. Before we go, I just want to give a nice shout out to our sponsor, the Gaming Stadium. The Rocket and Raygun Awards are brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation, and they've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you don't want to miss out on. You can find out all about them at tgs.gg. Thank you so much, Shaun Hatton. Thank you for being here, my friend. You are the best. We'll see you tomorrow. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for watching today, you guys. You guys rock. Thanks for supporting EPN on Twitch and on YouTube. We will see you tomorrow, and until then, play forever.